Glad you're with us for another episode of Betting Weekly Tennis Live, all part of the Bet Rivers Network. Download the app, make all your tennis bets, get in on the fun. And of course, if you haven't already, subscribe to the social accounts at Because We Win, our X account, our Instagram, and our YouTube page, full of just tremendous content and betting advice. The Wednesday show, joining me now, Mitch Michaels, the host. It's Tim Dennis. Tim, welcome to the show again. It's always fun this time of year. I'm just catching my breath after that Medvedev TN match, but some players are still giving it their all in month 10 of the season.
Yeah, what a war of attrition that was. Yeah, Medvedev finally coming through in a stretch, probably sort of making amends for when he cramped against him last week, having led a set and a break, I think. So he'll be glad to come through that one. Quite what's left in the tank. I guess we'll find out in the coming days, but tough. He's not going to get any easier now as he's facing Minaur next.
No, but it's just impressive, right? Like maybe it's a new voice, the new voice theory, working with Slam Aussie Open champ Thomas Johansson, who's done work with some other players. But I'm more impressed with, last week it was the cramping code violation that we disagreed with. This match, he got a serve clock violation. That's the point when he normally would go off the rails, right? Like he would just flip out. That would be it. He would tank sometimes, but not today against Lerner Tien, who's talk about a rookie year, right, Tim? He's in the top 40. Like what a season the young Americans had.
Yeah, hasn't he? Fantastic season, obviously reaching that final last week. And then, I mean, you could have forgiven him today after sort of losing that first set in a tie break. You could have sort of forgiven him for thinking, okay, I've played a lot of matches now, looking forward to what's to come. But no, he dug in, took that second set tie break and sent it all the way. So yeah, fantastic up and coming year from him, as we've seen with a few other guys on the men's side, so Diallo, for example. But he's obviously doing it this part of the year. But Medvedev, yeah, I mean, obviously that new coach he's obviously working extremely hard in his game, which he's needed to, because he's been in the doldrums now for a while, hasn't he? And I mean, you wouldn't put it past him going all the way here in conditions that he probably wanted this event like it was last year on the quicker side, but the court being a little bit slow, he's still digging in, he's still finding his way through. So yeah, good for him.
Lots to be made for the conditions, and Jovic throwing up, but he's still in it and in the favorite. So there's a lot the players are battling through this time of year, motivation being one of them. But we'll get to Shanghai, the ATP event, in a little bit. Wanted to take our time to dive into, Tim, the action in Wuhan. It's a lot, right? The second back-to-back Masters event in October. They go Beijing to Wuhan. Beijing was won by Anisimova, who pulls out of Wuhan, which is understandable given that she's been on a tear and is in the tour finals. That opens the door for a lot of storylines. We still have most of the top favorites. We did lose Andreeva, upset by Laura Siegemund, not going well for the young Russian. But as it stands right now, these are the outright markets, with Sabalenka, who survived in 3 sets, maybe a little rust in that Sramkova matchup, but she got through in 3. Iga was dominant in her first match. You still have Coco, Rybakina won. Paolini at the bottom of that list had to dig in deep. Belinda is another one, too. And we also had Pegula last night beat Haley Baptiste in a barn burner of a match, third set tiebreaker, 8-6. So a lot of big names on that board, Tim, and a lot of players that are playing for different things, whether it's a number 1 ranking, a spot in the tour finals, or just ranking points and money. So what are we thinking as the future board starts to take shape in Wuhan?
Yeah, I mean, personally, we'll talk about one of our matches a little bit later on, but I found myself being drawn to Coco Gauff, believe it or not. I've given her that's probably a lot of stick this year, even though she's won a slam. But I was impressed with the way she played today. Served really well. I think if she can continue serving like that for the rest of the tournament, I actually quite like her chances here. Her draw doesn't look too bad. I think she obviously should come through tomorrow, and then her quarterfinal is very straightforward as well. And I think, her next round. Yeah, it will be a quarterfinal. It's very straightforward. In the semis, it'll either be probably Iga or Jasmine Paolini, which obviously things get a bit tougher there. But she obviously won she reached the semis in Wuhan last year, playing some incredible tennis at the time. I think she obviously lost to Sabalenka there, but she won the tournament the week prior to that as well. So she obviously goes well here, and I thought some of the tennis she played here last year was some of the best tennis I've ever seen a woman play, to be honest. When she actually lost to Sabalenka, she pretty much just gave it away, the match away, because she couldn't serve. But from the back of the court, she was sensational. So I was impressed with her today, and I think if she can keep her serving going, then for me at plus 600, I still quite like the look of her, to be honest.
Sabalenka is interesting. The favorite, she's been brilliant here, like hasn't lost in Wuhan. She's that good, but you wonder what the rust factor. I do think the motivation having to defend that number one ranking is a big, big factor, especially with how Iga looked. Nobody gets over a loss, it seems, better than Iga. She looked terrible against Emma Navarro in Beijing, but picking up right where she left off in the win column. I think we need to talk about Linda Noskova, Tim, because she makes that final in Beijing. Again, would have been forgiven if she lost this match, right? But what does she do? She goes in, wins her first match, gets through a tough opponent, and then beats Naomi Osaka in straight sets. I think that's someone we got to keep talking about, right? Linda Noskova is going to be a player, not just this year, but the future. I think 2026, we could see that ranking inch up, and it, dare I say, maybe even get to the single-digit marker by the end of next year. I think that's in the realm of possibility.
Yeah, absolutely. She's only 20 as well, isn't she? Is she 20?
Yeah, I think she might be 21. I'll double check that. But
she's still
20. Yeah,
very
she's
young.
20 until, you're right, she's 20 until next month.
Yeah, so yeah, still very young, but playing like a sort of a seasoned vet. And I actually thought today would be the day she lost. I thought Osaka should have won that match, but I thought this was the time to catch Noskova. Obviously, played a ton of tennis, and I think I looked at the scheduling. I think she played Putintseva late yesterday, and played in 3, and then she was on early today, or reasonably early anyway, and still managed to take care of Osaka. So yeah, really impressive for her. And yes, going forward, she's a little bit like we spoke about with Anisimova. She's going to be on slam watch, isn't she? I think she made the call. Was it the quarters or the last 16? She lost to Anisimova at Wimbledon this year, and on a hard court, she looks mighty dangerous. So yeah, she should be one to keep an eye on going forward, I think.
And one of the biggest matches, unfortunately, Mukova retired against Frech, so we wish her the best. Pegula got through again, Baptiste. That seems like matches that we should just, when both of those players are playing, it seems like they go over heavy sets. Another over match there. But one of the biggest battles is going to be Paolini, who won in 3 against Rybakina for the last spot in the WTA finals. They're both in it, so a lot of good storylines and a lot of players to back as we are in the round of 16. We're going to get to the daily double, Tim's daily double, that involves matches in Wuhan, and they're isolated there, but we're going to pull up a graphic of the other matches not included in that we should discuss. Look at all these great matchups, Tim, that we have in Wuhan, some great round of 16 matchups coming forward. Sabalenka being a huge favorite over Samsonova, who's picking herself back up, as is Iga over Belinda Bencic. Those two had great runs in Wimbledon, which we saw, and Iga was prevailing in that one. But then you have 3 tight matches: Frech, Siegemund, Siniakova, Jovic, and Tauson and Paolini. Paolini minus 148 favorites. So starting with that board, Tim, and it's a dealer's choice, but where should we start? What matches do you think we should look at? And from a betting perspective, is there anything that is appeasing in the Wuhan round of 16?
I mean, maybe the first match we saw on the board there, I thought was quite surprising to me. I was surprised to see Siniakova quite so short against Jovic there. I actually thought Jasmine would beat Jovic today, and I think Jovic done well because I think she's lucky because she lost to Kucheva in earlier on in the week, and she got in. Kucheva had to pull out, I think, obviously Jovic won and beat Jasmine today. So you'd be thinking more than the odds suggest. I'm not sure did we lose you there, Mitch, or is that my screen?
Might be yours a little bit. I got you cutting a little in and out. Yeah, I can hear you. You're good.
Yeah, sorry. No, that's it. We're back and running now. So I just thought Jovic was a little bit overpriced there at plus 125.
So interesting too. Like, you think that Siniakova at this point in her career is, balancing doubles. She's got the number 1 ranking. We talked about her a little bit before, that she's someone that, has the 3rd most weeks in the ranking history at number 1 in doubles. So it's always the balancing act. I wonder, she does so well on the court. She has the experience factor, Tim, but I wonder tournament to tournament what the level is and how she's going to handle playing both, going up against such a young player. But yeah, I think Jovic is still kind of in. Yeah. Good. Can I hear you?
Have you got me there, Mitch? I think my computer's playing around with me a little bit, but Yeah, you had me, yeah?
Yeah, I got you. I just think the experience factor, I think it favors
Yeah, sorry.
Siniakova. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jovic is obviously sort of not pretty much new to the tour, is in playing all these events regularly, week in, week out, and I think she's going to be learning away. Obviously, she's still so young, and Siniakova has been playing reasonably well lately. Obviously, she beat Joit today and beat Schneider earlier in the week too. So, but I just thought Jovic was a little bit overpriced. I didn't expect to see Siniakova quite so short. Was she minus 152 on the line? I think we saw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's trending in a lot of so it's been trending in a different way. And as our comments are pointing out, Jovic has a lot to play for this time of year. A seed in Australia isn't the possibility. She wins in Guadalajara, but since then I know it's tough. It's tough to handle with that. There was a challenger lost first round to Wu Sun. Plus 125 though is a pretty tight line to consider. I think there's just variance with both these players. It's value on Siniakova, but we've seen her have matches where her serve goes away in singles as well. But not playing doubles might be a good thing for her. I think that's where I'm leaning to, why I agree. I wouldn't say this is like a lock for me. I think there's a chance Jovic can step up here, Tim, but Krejcikova shut down her season with the injury. So the Siniakova all full speed ahead on singles, resting, refreshed. I think that's going to help her in this case. So I agree. I think this is a value play more than anything. I think this line is a little closer than I would have predicted as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think maybe that's just what we're going to look at. I think, just like I said, just at first glance, I thought Siniakova was a little bit short. That's not to say she won't win, but I just thought, she was a little bit short. So for me, that probably made Jovic a little bit of value on that one.
Two players that I think in tennis, Tim, looking at this board again, we'll get the inside again, but you look at the favorites. Sabalenka in a favorite position, that's a huge line against Samsonova. Like, that is just, I don't know. I kind of like the over 19.5 games in that one, because Samsonova's serve should get her in a tighter set. And I just don't know that Sabalenka's fully, rust-free. But Iga and Bencic, minus 625, and you see the number, and we'll get you the game spreads here in a second, Tim. But Iga is it's kind of like Iga and Jannik Sinner are the two players you trust the most with big spreads. Like we talked about it last show, it was, I think, 6.5, and she covered it going away in her last match. So is there a number with Iga that you wouldn't feel good about? Do you think Bencic could make it tough after beating Bencic? But I don't know. I asked you the question, Iga with a big game spread. Seems like she can cover these spreads no problem.
Yeah, doesn't she just? When I watched her beat Bushkova there day before yesterday, I was watching it thinking, is there a player on the planet who wins so many sets so comfortably? And I can't think of one. She just does it week in, week out, doesn't she? Obviously, against the real elite level players, it's a lot harder to do. But as far as just sort of taking out players in the top 50, love and one sets, she does it so comfortably, doesn't she? So yeah, I think Bencic might be a little bit happier on this court than she would have in the grass playing Iga, perhaps.
Yeah, 2 games,
I think that's where she's got to have a little bit of hope. But yeah, what is the spread on the game? Is it 5.5?
Yeah, 5.5. You're looking at it from minus 124 for Iga to cover 5.5. So, and remember, 6-love, 6-2 in Wimbledon. Then went on to double bagel and Samova. So different spread, obviously. But Iga's tough playing downhill. And I'm also trying to think, too, who's troubled her a little bit before, Tim? Like, obviously, Iga probably has to have an off day to really get in some trouble. But I don't want to begrudge Bencic, but it's the elite movers that have given her maybe more trouble in recent memory. Getting that, unless you're a player like Samsonova who just can out-hit anyone, I do think it's somebody like Navarro that's more of a retriever that's able to kind of frustrate Iga from that sense. And I don't like Bencic in this matchup.
No, I completely agree. Yeah, she's not the sort of nimble mover. She's probably the best days of her career probably behind her as well, aren't they? Obviously having that break to have a child and have a family, so perhaps not as slick round the court as she used to be. So, initially you look at 5.5 and think that's probably quite a high line, but then you realise Iga's on the other side of the net, and I think a tough one to really be having a strong opinion. If I was having a bit of a lean, I'd probably be leaning with Iga covering it, just the way she knows she can go through these games. But but it'd only be a small lead for me. It's not a game I'd have a strong opinion on, I don't think.
I do want to correct one thing, and props to the chat for getting in here. It is actually, Siniakova is playing. Storm Hunter filled in for Krejcikova, but what ended up happening, Tim, was they had a walkover in their last match against Mertens and Kudermetova. So staying corrected, I was wrong. Apologies for that. She is playing doubles, but did get the benefit of one less match given the walkover, so she's in comfortably. So just to put a bow on that
as well, isn't she? It's not like it's a new thing to her playing both, is it?
Right, exactly. Do you think Sabalenka though is a favorite? It's a tough number. I think it's just a little high for me, given the money line and looking at that game spread in that matchup, which doesn't do any favors if you want to back Sabalenka in that one. Tim, I just don't know if I like her 5.5 either. I think it's just going to be a little tighter than that.
Yeah, well, I think you called it spot on when you saw the line of the 19.5. I think that probably did look a little bit cheap. I would have expected it to be 20.5 for certain. Obviously, the way Samsonova generally serves reasonably well, and Aryna was obviously extremely rusty in that first set today. Obviously, came through by winning sets 2 and 3 reasonably comfortably. But a little bit of a fright there for her, and we do know she's not like Iga. She has these sets where she sort of hits quite a few unforced errors and gives players a chance. So I think 19.5 probably looks at a game cheap there for me. So I'd certainly be leaning towards over, I think.
The other matchup, Siegemund Frech, who no one expected to be here. I'm not entirely sure if we have a lean on that one, but Tauson Paolini could be interesting, right? Tauson, the big hitter, Paolini playing for a lot, played 3 sets. Do you think that number makes sense, Jasmine -148, or would you expect it to be tighter or even more short on one side?
I mean, Paolini is another one who's played a lot of tennis, isn't she? And she obviously plays doubles too, so and generally makes most finals in these doubles tournaments. I think they won the title again last week. So, but she doesn't seem to affect her, does it? She plays with a smile on her face all the time. Never seems to have any injuries. Never seems to have any concerns. Just goes to show what these players can do. I think maybe that was a little bit short on Jasmine at first look. So perhaps be leaning towards Tauson. Obviously, they've only played once in this same part of the world last year when Paolini took that in 3 sets. So is the spread 3.5?
It's only 1.5.
It's only 1.5, is it? Okay,
yeah.
Sorry. I'd be probably looking towards. Obviously, Paolini's got a lot to play for. That's one thing you do know. But these conditions should suit Tauson. And then she had a couple of straight sets wins already here this week. So I think I bet it'd be a lean again. It's not a game I have the strongest of opinion on. But Tauson probably looks a fraction too big there to me, having seen Paolini have to play 3 sets today.
I would lean over in that one. I would go over games. You can maybe get a little more bold and go over 2.5 sets for plus money, but that would be my lean. As is a lean on Frech. I think Siegemund, Andreeva Tim was just awful, as our commenters are rightly pointing out. Just wasn't her day. And we've seen the story with Siegemund this year, right? Win a match or two, win like a big upset match, and then there's kind of been a little bit of a fallback after that. So another lean for me on Frech would be the other way to finish up.
Agreed. I think out of all those women's matches tomorrow, that's the one I'd probably least want to watch, if I'm truth be told. I'm not sure. It was painful just watching her against Andreeva. It was it was hard work. So I think we'll just stick with small leans in that kind of game. I think Frech for me. I'd go with that.
Paolini has played a lot of tennis. I do think that she's still gearing up for the tour finals, which we know there's a lot of reasons to go. So, and with Rybakina winning, needs to keep her foot on the gas as the season winds down. Well, Tim, it's time to get
Mitch. Just with Paolini, it doesn't seem to bother her, does it? Though playing playing doubles, playing singles. She's very small stature. She never seems to be injured, does she? Or never seems to get ill, or not I can recall anyway lately.
No, she's hanging in there. She's hanging tough, and it's going to be tough to see where it goes from here. But Betting Weekly Tennis Live rolls along. Mitch Michaels, Tim Dennis. Make sure you're downloading that Bet Rivers app to get in on all these bets. It's time for our daily double, Tim. Sticking in Wuhan, the 2 matches we haven't covered, featuring 2 Americans. Let's break in what the bets are and how we go from there, starting with the match on top. Ekaterina Alexandrova taking on Jessie Pegula, who had that high wire act, right? She wins 8-6 over Haley Baptiste in that 3rd set tiebreaker, but both minus money. Pegula is minus 115. Razor thin spread, 21.5 total games. Tim, what's the first leg of the daily double? Alexandrova versus Pegula.
Yeah, I think we're going to keep it fairly simple here. I thought the bet was Alexandrova on the money line. I looked earlier and she was plus 102, Alexandrova. So she's just a little bit of shortened up there, she admits, by the looks of it. She leads the head-to-head 3-2. These two have met 5 times before, but she's actually 2-0 on the hard courts, and she actually leads the service points won and return points won, 104.5 to 94.5 on the hard courts, and 103.2 to 96.8 on the rest of those 5 meetings combined. I think this is going to be Pegula's 10th match since the US Open, having played Billie Jean King Cup and making the semis in Beijing. And I think 6 of those matches went to a final set, including all of her last 5 matches. So she spent a massive 12 hours and 17 minutes on court in those 5 matches. And for me, this might just be one game too far for her. Having on the flip side with Alexandrova, this is just her 8th match since the US Open. Right. And I think only twice has she played 3 sets in those. And I think one of those came against losing the final in Seoul to Iga. So sort of no disgrace there. I think you can forgive her first round loss in Beijing, having made that final previously. And I think that'll actually stand her in good stead coming into this tournament. She's had 2 straight sets wins so far against Ann Lee and Boko, and has looked pretty good. Whereas Pegula, obviously, she's just played the one match, but that was a 3-set marathon we saw today with Baptiste ending in a final set tiebreak. And it actually took us 7 match points just to get the job done. So I just think today might be one game too far for Jess Pegula. And I think with the head-to-head record and the sort of stats on the service points won and return points won, I thought Alexandrova was a good bet here.
She just played a lot of tennis as Pegula. This has been an interesting rivalry. I think it's 3-2 Alexandrova, I believe, but they've had some close matchups. They've had some battles. So it's been a lot of momentum changes. But yeah, if you're talking about the player in better form, better rested, you lean Alexandrova here, who does still have an outside chance. I bring this up with her to make the tour finals. She has a big result here. She's right in the mix. So a lot riding on this one too. And I do think Pegula, it's been a lot of stops and starts this year too, which is the other side to look at her season. She's capable of playing elite tennis, but hasn't really sustained that elite level for a long portion of any part of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And my sort of underlying feeling was that this is just going to be one game too far for her. Obviously, having played that long match again, which was today, and I think she's first on tomorrow. I think this match is first on. So yeah, not much rest for her again. And I think Alexandrova, a good head-to-head record, good on the stats, and yeah, this looks a good time for me to get with her, I think.
All right, the other leg of the daily double. So we got Alexandrova money line minus 106. Coco Gauff, a prohibitive favorite over Shuai Zhang, who was the giant killer moving along. We were talking about the match on Monday. And I do think that this is another opportunity where we can see a player battle. She's beaten Navarro in 3. She's beaten Sonia Kristeva, but she's facing Coco Gauff, who is coming in looking good, only dropped the game in her first match. The path is there. There you see the money line, game spread, and over-under. But Tim, what's the angle? How do we complete the daily double with this matchup, Zhang and Gauff?
Yeah, well, so for those guys that subscribe to the newsletter, and hopefully most of you do, then hopefully you might have got with Zhang on. That was our pick on the games for Tuesday's matches, when I think we actually took on the handicap against Navarro, and obviously she actually won the match. That was a comfortable victory in the end. But these two have met 3 times. Gauff leads that head-to-head 3-0 and winning all 6 sets. So fairly comfortable so far for Gauff, and they all come on hard courts. And she leads the service points won, return points won, total 107 to 93. Like I said, I was impressed with Gauff today. She just won in 52 minutes, 6-1, 6-love against Uchima. I think she was 85% first serve percentage, and actually winning 89% of those first serve points. 0 double faults as well, which is obviously a big thing for her. We spoke about this many times with her. So I think, like I said earlier on the show, if she can play clean and serve clean like she did today, then I think she'd probably go a long way in this tournament. Like I said earlier, that semi-final match I saw her play against Sabalenka, I still think is some of the best women's tennis I've seen, even though she ended up losing the match because she couldn't serve. But I mean, just from the back of the court, she was fantastic. So, like I said, she likes it here. She didn't drop a set here until she played Sabalenka in that semi-final last year. I think she actually took the first set 6-1 memory serves in that game before it all fell apart due to the serve. Zhang has obviously played 6 sets here so far in the 2 matches she's played against Navarra and Sestia. So I mean, there's a couple of ways of looking at whether you wanted to get with Gauff on the handicap, but I thought the safer way to go was under 19.5 total games. And I looked earlier, that was -114. I'm not sure if there's been any movement on that price.
Still the same, yeah. So we can go under. Yeah, there's other ways to look at it too. It's probably the safest way or the best way to go. You can get Coco on the set spread in straights, -1.5 at -167 on Bet Rivers. But if we're saying not only, Tim, is Coco going to win this match in straight sets, but quickly, then that's your best bang for your buck, is just take the under games.
I think so, because I mean the handicap I think was 5.5, and I mean let's say she wins the game 6-4, 6-3, you obviously cash the under, but you'll lose on the handicap. So
yeah,
for me that was probably the best way of looking at it. So yeah, I like her to get this done comfortably. She's won all 6 sets these two have played. A couple have been fairly tight, but I think in this part of the world, and for the tennis I saw her play today, I think if she can bring that to the court tomorrow, I'd be very surprised. So yeah, I really like the under here, under 19.5.
Yeah, if you want to be bold and call a set score early like that, go right ahead and see what happens. Under 8.5.
I think I did see under 8.5 first set was quite plus money. So quite big plus money. So that could be a way of looking, unless you want to get a little bit braver and look into the 6-1 or the 6-love.
Yeah, direct, exact almost. It's plus 550 calling a 6-1 set. But if you go under 8.5 games, it's plus 140. So maybe that's the play. But the daily double, Coco and Zhang Shuai under the games at -114. And then you also have Alexandrova on the money line, -106 over Pegula. What does that pay if you follow your daily double today?
I'll have to double check that, because when I looked earlier, the lines have slightly moved. So I'll just put it in now, and we can find out. Just so I'll have a look for you, Mitch.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that in a second while we look at Shanghai and discuss where we are right now in that tournament. We'll get you the payout on the daily double, but Shanghai, as it stands right now, Novak Djokovic is the favorite to win this tournament. Remarkable stuff. He gets by Minaur in 3 sets, loses the second. We mentioned him throwing up. You have Alex Minaur in the second spot. He'll be taking on Daniil Medvedev in the quarterfinal matchup, along with Felix and Holger right there. Felix winning brilliantly over Musetti, Holger surviving. Arthur Rinderknecht and his actual cousin, Valentin Vacherat, who's having a remarkable journey. Zuzu Berg's on there as well. So it's a motley crew of quarterfinalists, Tim. Not the 8 guys we thought would be here, but one of these 8 men is going to win the Shanghai Masters.
Yeah, hopefully for the guys on the game bet match, it'll be Felix. I mean, he was very impressive against Musetti today. Obviously, still got a lot to play for. Has looked excellent, and yeah, I was really impressed with him. So hopefully for the guys, he can keep going, and for anyone that's sort of followed in, maybe Minaur might have something to say on that. But yeah, interesting to see him. And Djokovic, I mean, he was typical Djokovic yesterday, wasn't he? Looking like he needed an ambulance at one stage, and then immediately broke Minaur in the start of that 3rd set, and then the match was pretty much over from that point onwards, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was typical Djokovic, but he's fighting his way through it and figuring out how to beat guys a lot younger than him. We're seeing early odds on Medvedev and Minaur. Minaur is going to be a pretty big favorite. You wonder about fitness and health level, but Medvedev held up today. I think there's value in some way betting on Medvedev. I haven't quite figured it out, Tim, but anytime you see Medvedev looking like he's kind of in form at like the plus 180, 190 range, I think there's probably something there to back him on.
Yeah, certainly couldn't put you off, because he looks like he's trending in the right direction, doesn't he, with that new coach at his side, and certainly playing the best tennis he has all year, and probably perhaps even improving a little bit, should we say? Well, certainly on his year anyway. So yeah, certainly going in the right direction. And then Djokovic versus Bergs. I mean, Djokovic is obviously going to be a strong favourite there, and I mean, if let's say Runes look pretty good. And I think one thing to say I did notice was I don't think the conditions in Shanghai are going to be quite so brutal as they have been in the previous few days. I think its temperature is going to be a little bit cooler in the coming days before. I think it might just get a little bit hotter for perhaps around the final time. But yeah, certainly for tomorrow, I think conditions a little bit cooler, and that'll be sort of music to everyone's ears. But yeah, Medvedev, certainly wouldn't put you off there, Mitch. He certainly seems to be going in the right direction, doesn't he?
Felix usually comes alive this point of the year, and we've seen it happen before. He can make the tour finals. He's right in the mix there. Newly married, so he's probably riding high after the wedding and just coming in, playing great, but he's got a big opportunity. I also think, and just looking at it, we hit part of our daily double on Monday to show myself and Dustin Fox. There is a market for the player that Jovic is playing to win a set. It's been a good bet to go, and Bergs is plus money. You can still get him at plus 104 right now on Bet Rivers to win a set against Jovic. So might have to go back to the well for that one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I stung myself on in his last match, Djokovic, because I got with Minaur on the handicap and foolishly probably kicking for myself for not betting Minaur to win a set at probably a bigger price. And I certainly wouldn't want to go the same way tomorrow. I'll be looking to get with Bergs to win a set there rather than the handicap, because with him winning that last set 6-2, that made me a loser on that match. But I wouldn't make the same mistake again if I was having a bet, and I'd probably be trying to get with Bergs to win a set. He's looked quite impressive so far, hasn't he? And as far as Felix goes, I mean, even if he doesn't win here, he's going to be one to keep an eye on for those indoor tournaments in Paris that he's won before. So he's certainly looking to be playing some pretty good stuff.
Yeah, maybe the best run so far in terms of opposition, definitely up there, is what Rinderknecht's doing. Because if you look at the wins he's notched in this tournament, it was Mickelson, Zverev, Lehechka. It's pretty good. I think if you compare it across the board, one of the best runs that we've seen. Also got to love the Greek Sport quote where he's like, I played really good against the number 2 player in the world, and then I had an off day against number 200, and that's tennis. And he said his words were, I picked a crappy sport. So it's a tough day at the office sometimes. Yeah,
it's always a tough day when you lose, I imagine. But yeah, is that a mental thing? Is it you're probably a little bit more up against the number 2 player in the world, and then perhaps you just think, okay, I'm just going to breeze through this game and you let your guard down, and then you see what happens. Because
they're more up against. And they're more up against you. That's kind of how it works. And to the comment about de Minaur, who is 4-7 against Medvedev, but it's 3-3 since 2023 when de Minaur kind of elevated his career, thinking that he's going to melt Medvedev in that match. And I think that's very, very good possibility. In my mind, Tim, I'm seeing this match go a third set where de Minaur pulls away, but I do think it gets to that level, and maybe it could go like a 6-1 third set for de Minaur when he wears him down. But I think there's value in a set or some sort of over total.
Yeah, de Minaur is going to make it physical, but Medvedev's not one. Obviously, he cramped and had to retire in that game last week, but generally he's up for those kind of matches, Medvedev, isn't he? So he's not normally one who's scared of things going long. So I don't think that should bother him too much. But de Minaur, he's right there. He will make it physical, and he will try and test him out. But perhaps Medvedev might have learned a little bit from that last week, and when he looked okay today, going there in that third set and coming through. So yeah, a cracking match, and you'd be certainly leaning towards a long one, I think, with those 2 players.
Cracking match for sure. Sounds like we're saying as we wind it down here on Betting Weekly Tennis Live that as the futures market's saying right now, it's that 450 range that there's the best value. And as the guys on the show said, Felix seems to be the guy. But that's that number, de Minaur is a little higher, Jovic is higher. If you want to find value, it's probably in that range for a future winner. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, it's probably something around that range. Obviously, with the way we've seen Djokovic on court this week, would you want to be getting involved with him as favourite? Personally, I don't think I would be. So, yeah, I'll be looking for value elsewhere, I think.
All right. Well, Tim, this has been a blast. Betting Weekly Tennis Live. Any other picks or notes to get in? Any other tennis bets or betting observations?
Yeah, just to have a quick look at that daily double. I think it plays plus 274 if we can get them both to come up. Alexandrova minus 106 and under 19.5 is minus 109 with the double paying plus 274.
So go under Gauff, Shuai, Zhang, under games, minus 114 if it's under 19 and a half games, and hit Ekaterina Alexandrova minus 106 on the money line against Jessie Pegula, plus 274. It's got a nice ring to it. And, you're only fading one American, so that's good. You're not completely out on the Americans.
Yeah, no, we want one, and we're against another, so not too bad, hopefully.
Well, Tim, this has been a blast. Always is. We're just moseying along. Season's still got some legs to it, but we're winding down. It's been a fun run here on Betting Weekly Tennis Live. Remember to, as you mentioned, subscribe to the newsletter. You can get in on the early picks like that Zhang spread bet, that handicap bet earlier. So the newsletter is where it's at. We want to encourage everybody out there to get in on that and subscribe bettingweeklystudios.com, because it's this time of year, right? We got other sports going on. You want to get ahead of it before the lines move.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, get those bets on early and try and get the value. Like obviously we missed a little bit there with Alexandrova. So yeah, if you see something you like, get on quickly.
Tim Dennis, this was fun. Can't wait to chat again with you on Betting Weekly Tennis Live next week.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Mitch.
This was Betting Weekly Tennis Live, 1 o'clock Eastern time, all part of the Bet Rivers Network. It's 1 o'clock Eastern, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday throughout the season. The grind continues. We're back next Monday. Remember to subscribe to all the social channels at Because We Win, the X account, the Instagram, and the YouTube, and follow along. If you got the app, you can make all the best bets on Bet Rivers. It's that simple. For Tim Dennis, I'm Mitch Michaels. This was Betting Weekly Tennis Live. We'll talk to you next week. Enjoy the tennis, everyone.